The 91 Washington.
Yeah.
One of the great all-time teams, by the way.
The uncle of one Brett Rippon. But Sam Darnold, his story is actually making news here this week because over the weekend, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the Vikings general manager, was fired. It is in no way surprising that Kwesi was fired. There have been some misses in the draft, taking Lewis Seen out of Georgia over Kyle Hamilton, who's gone on to an all-pro career and one of the better players in the game, not just defensive players in the game for the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, there have been misses. Every GM has misses. But the timing of this, it comes after 2 weeks ago, both Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, the head coach, have their end-of-season press conferences in which they never use the word competition. They never say, we want to bring in a quarterback to compete with J.J. McCarthy. They say, and clearly it was planned, and they were on the same page, we need better depth in our quarterback room. They chose to let Darnold go. They chose to let Daniel Jones go. And then after Justin Jefferson comes out and when asked, hey, do you think you would have been here or the season would have been different? Would you have been a playoff team? Would you have been in the Pro Bowl if you had Sam Darnold? He basically said yes. Now, I don't know that the quote is as bad as the headline, but he in essence said yes. And Adolfo-Mensah has said, and he said it on the podium 2 weeks ago, that he has stared at the ceiling, contemplating his quarterback move. What was done, but looking back during the season saying we did the right thing. He said he trusts the process. He says their process was right. They had drafted a guy, right? And we had to go see him play. We tried to bring the other guys back, but probably not at the right cost. Me putting words in his mouth. We had to stick with him. Sam Darnold makes the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is fired.
I don't get the timing. I really don't. It was 26 days after their season ended. It's not like Kwesi screwed up any draft picks in those 26 days. You already knew his resume at that point. You knew the quarterback. Whether Sam Darnold makes the Super Bowl or not, he was a number one seed. It's not like they came out of nowhere. The timing was just weird. I thought it was maybe petty at worst because it happened 24 hours after the last general manager spot was filled by Ian Cunningham with the Atlanta Falcons. It almost seemed like they were waiting until every job was filled.
Really?
So Kwesi couldn't intervene. It just seemed that way. Now, maybe it's just organizational waffling.
I think that's what it was.
It could have been, but that timing didn't sit right with me. And also, I just don't understand what the Vikings are doing. Now you didn't have a regular GM search. You're not able to talk to an Ian Cunningham, who you might have hired otherwise. They go into free agency and the draft with an interim who's probably going to end up getting the job, by the way. I know that, but it's a strange situation. If you know, do it on day one.
Yeah.
Like there's no, or even day 2, day 3, that's fine. 26 days, you needed that long to figure this out?
I'm a big fan of, and I think I've used this phrase before in the air, if it's inevitable, make it immediate.
Yes, you have.
I think they did waffle. I think they probably wanted to do it, but talked themselves out of doing it. And then maybe Darnold getting there, they probably put their feet up or leaned back in their chair and went, you know what, I probably should have done this 3 weeks ago, and we're going to do it. What makes the story now after the fact a bit uncomfortable is something that came up in the Athletic article written by Alec Lewis, who covers the Vikings there in Minneapolis, and by Diana Rossini, the national reporter there for the Athletic. Both do a very good job.
Sure do.
This story has been out there in media circles and NFL circles that during training camp a year ago, not this season, but the 2024 season, Kwesi took, as is his right, paternity leave during training camp, which is the busiest time of the year for a general manager. You're watching practice. You're evaluating your players every day. You're churning the bottom of your roster. The O-line coach comes in and says, hey, 62 is a tomato can. Get him out of there. He's going to get somebody hurt in practice. And so, well, someone else just waved to center. We had an eye on him coming out of college. Let's go claim him. GM has a 24-hour-a-day, well, maybe that's extreme. You got a job to do during training camp. Now, Adolfo-Mensah was reportedly doing all his meetings via Zoom. It's not as if he wasn't doing the job. He just wasn't present. I can tell you that at last year's Super Bowl, people were talking about this. This was well-known. Yeah. It was a well-known secret that he had taken paternity leave and it's considerable, that's not fair, paternity leave during training camp last year. I find it interesting that now the story gets out because I'd assume that those who knew, and you're choosing to report it now, which I don't think it's the reason he was fired, but it complicates the story, which will probably get picked up by non-sports outlets. Oh, look at this. Does the NFL have an HR and paternity issue crisis? Joe Brady, the new Bills head coach, crying on the podium last week when introduced in Buffalo, talking to his wife, talking about missing the birth of their child and how all coaches go through this. I think that's a thing, but I don't know that it's the reason he was fired.
No, and that's why, again, this whole process has been uncomfortable, I guess. Like, why do we need to trash him on his way out the door? And like you said, people knew about this, so it's probably coming out that way and not being leaked after the fact. But being a dad's a 24-hour day job too. I mean, I don't want to sit here and trash a guy because he taking his paternity leave, because a lot of times I think the nonsense about, coaches have to sleep in their office 120 hours a week and miss the kids growing up and all. I think that's overdone and people play into that a little too much. I want to bring this back to a real life thing at some point. But yeah, a training camp for a general manager, that's tough. That's tough. But I'd like to. I don't want to focus. I know that's going to be a thing. I don't want to focus on it too much because ultimately, look, if they retain Sam Darnold and they're in the playoffs, or even if J.J. McCarthy plays better and they're in the playoffs, we're not having these conversations, right? Like, it would be saying, well, Kwesi's coming back for year 5. Like, I don't think he would. Do you? If the Vikings make the playoffs this year, do you think he gets fired? I don't.
I mean, they extended him last year. I don't think he gets fired. No, If they make the playoffs, they don't get fired. But
ultimately, this is a wins and losses thing. He didn't make the playoffs because a big part of that was you screwed up the quarterback.
That's why he got fired.
Right.
In my estimation, that's why he got fired. He got because
there wasn't technically that. If they make the playoffs with Sam Darnold at quarterback, they don't fire him.
If they make the playoffs this year with JJ at quarterback, they absolutely don't fire him because that means they got the quarterback right.
Correct.
And they are sitting here now heading into year number 3, and they don't think they got the quarterback right. What this signals to me is that and again, this is a stretch, or maybe it isn't, that they're looking at J.J. McCarthy going, he's not the guy. We've made up our mind already heading into year number 3.
They made up their mind, really.
If they thought he was the guy, would they fire him?
I don't know.
If you went out and drafted the quarterback that you think is the guy.
I don't think they know. I don't think they've given up on him yet. I think they're in the middle.
Both can be true, though.
Yes.
You haven't given up?
You are correct.
But you
if
think
he's
not the guy.
If you're right. If they thought he was the guy, that's how Kwesi would be getting flowers right now, right? Like, wow, you got us right into the next era of our quarterbacks. Great job. So yes, you are correct about that. But I don't think they've given up on him yet. But they also don't believe he's the guy yet.
I also think it speaks to a disconnect. We have like 40 seconds here. A disconnect between Kwesi and KOC.
Yeah,
because the other option last year was Aaron Rodgers. You could have let Darnold go and Daniel Jones go, but bring in Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
But then you stunt the growth of your young quarterback.
I thought, by the way, we're talking about process because Kwesi talked about that. I thought the process was fine.
I agree.
Bringing in Aaron Rodgers opens up a whole other can of worms, and you drafted this guy 10th, and you got to see it through. It just didn't work.
Totally agree. You drafted him; he's not the guy, and now you got to figure it out. And now they have to find a new GM, and it's likely going to be Rob Brzezinski. At least for now, he's already in the building. He gets elevated. He takes over the draft, and the draft is April 23rd. After the draft, they will figure it out.